Hey, it's the old camera guy Dave here with your monthly reminder that film photography does not have to be super expensive. And yes, I talk about this every month because since 2021 I've been participating in the Frugal Film project, where each month I shoot a roll of cheap film through a cheap camera and then post my results to the Frugal Film Project's Facebook group. Now in 2026, I don't think that film photography can be super cheap, but there are some ways you can control your costs, and the first way is location. So at the time I'm recording this in Ohio, where I live, the cost of gas is right around $4.50 a gallon, so you really do have to take travel costs into consideration. So my suggestion is to keep your costs down. Try to keep your photography local. Don't stray too far from your home base. Now I'm only sort of practicing what I preach here today because right now I'm shooting on location in Marion, Ohio, which is about 50 minutes or so from where I live. So it's not right around the corner. I did have to drive to get here, but I didn't have to drive 2 or 3 hours. I didn't have to cross state lines. So for me, anything within about an hour or so where I live, I would still call that local. So the second thing to consider as far as keeping your costs down is format. Generally speaking, the bigger your film is, the bigger your price tag. So if you're shooting something like large format 4x5, 8x10, or even bigger, well, that's typically going to cost you more than the other formats will. And there are ways to control your costs there too if you shoot maybe x-ray film or some other kind of lower cost film. But again, with large format, typically going to cost you more. If you move down to medium format like 120 film, that is going to cost you less, generally speaking, than the large format. But to really get the most bang for your buck, I would strongly consider shooting 35mm. It's a lot smaller, but again, with 35mm, you are going to lose some resolution, and typically you're going to have more noticeable grain. But, you know, in my mind, that's not a bad thing. I think one of the appeals of shooting film photography is a little bit of grain, right? If you wanted super clean images, well, you might as well go ahead and shoot digital. And I do shoot digital, but again, when I'm shooting film, I like it to look like film, so I'm okay with a little bit of grain. So 35mm is just fine by me. Now when you talk about getting your 35mm film camera, there are a bunch of different options at all different price points. And these days you can get brand new film cameras from Lomography, like the Lomo Apparat or the Sprocket Rocker, for $100 or less. The Kodak Snappic A1 point and shoot is in that same price range too. Or you can go very basic and shoot something like what I consider these reloadable disposable cameras, like the Kodak M35 or the Kodak M38. And again, very basic, but they're only going to put you back $20 or so, sometimes even less if you find them on sale. Another thing to consider is maybe looking at the used market. So if you go onto eBay, there's all kinds of cameras there. A lot of them are very inexpensive, and some of them are still pretty capable. So I wouldn't rule out the used market and looking at eBay finds, stuff like that. Maybe Craigslist if that's still a thing. And then another thing you can do is don't sleep on some of the what I call plastic fantastic cameras. These are those film SLRs from the late 90s, early 2000s. I am a huge fan of the Canon Rebel series. And a lot of these cameras, there's other ones like the Nikon N series, like the N65. Most of them have all kinds of different features. You can shoot aperture priority, you can shoot program mode if you want to, you can shoot full manual, so they give you a lot more control over your images. As far as point and shoots, used ones are concerned, another one not to sleep on is the Minolta Freedom series. You don't get a lot of press, you don't hear a lot of buzz or hype about these. There's a train, we're in Marion, there's a lot of trains here. But don't sleep on the Minolta Freedom series as well. So you've got your camera, now you need to load it or feed it some film. And just like the cameras with the film stocks, there are all kinds of different films at all different price points. Generally speaking, if you're shooting slide film or positive film, that is going to typically cost you more. If you shoot color negative film, usually it's going to be a little bit less. There are still some premium color negative films like the Kodak Portra series that are still pushing about $20 a roll, but there's also other more value-friendly films, color negative films like Kodak Gold, Kodak Ultramax, that you should be able to find for in the single-digit dollar range. But if you really want to save money on your film photography, I would definitely look at black and white films. There are all kinds of different black and white film stocks at very good budget rates. Some of my favorites include the Harman Ilford Kentmere Pan series. They've got 100, 200, and 400 speeds available. Most of your Fomapan films are pretty inexpensive. Probably my favorite budget film are the Arista EDU series films, and these are really just the Fomapan films that have been rebadged or rebranded. A lot of times they don't have the DX code, but that's not super important to me, and again, it represents a great value. Now, if you're lucky like me and can have local stores that sell film, you can just walk into your local store and ask them point blank, what are your most inexpensive films? And they should be able to tell you that and steer you in the right direction for some good budget films. Or if you shop online, you can go to an online retailer or website like Freestyle Photographics out in California, and then search for film, and then on your filter, just set it for low price to high, and you should be able to get some good budget options there too. That's how I found out about this Arista EDU 200 film that I'm shooting today in Marion. I got it for $4.75 a roll. All right, you've got your camera, you've shot your film, now you need to develop your film. And yeah, film developing can be pretty expensive, especially if you send it off to a lab, especially if you shoot a lot of film. But I am a big fan of developing film at home. Now initially, it's not cheap because there are some supplies you have to buy. At the very minimum, you've got to get a tank, a developing tank. You have to get your chemicals. There's a bunch of other stuff to be nice to have that you don't have to have right away. But as a bare minimum, you need those. So there are some initial investments you have to make. But again, if you shoot a lot of film like I do, you're going to recoup your costs pretty quickly, and you'll probably end up saving a lot of money in the long run. So you've developed your film. Now you need to find a way to see your images, and that means either darkroom printing or some kind of scanning or digitizing. Unless you shoot slide film or positive film, then you just throw it on a light table and enjoy your images right away. I don't have any experience with darkroom printing at all, so I can't really speak to that. As far as the scanning options concerned, for several years now, I've been using my Epson V550 that I got for 180 bucks several years ago. And it's flatbed scanning. A lot of people don't like flatbed scannings. They find it boring. It's not too scintillating, but you know what? It gets the job done, and it's fairly easy. You just have to be a little bit patient with it, but that's what I do. Some people digitize their images with their digital cameras. If you have a digital camera with macro or close focusing capabilities, you're already halfway there. Some people, if they don't have a fancy digital camera, they just use their phone to digitize their images, and you can do that. Smartphones are better these days, but your quality might not be super great if you end up doing that. Okay, now I'm going to share some images with you and put my money where my mouth is and actually show you what some of my cheap film photography looks like. I'm going to go ahead and share you this roll of the Arista EDU 200 film that I'm shooting here in Marion today. So future me has already finished shooting the roll, developed it, scanned it, and put it in a nice little montage for you to enjoy now. Here is Arista EDU 200 film. If you love film photography, make sure you subscribe to this channel where I am now coming up on 500 free videos all about film photography with many more to come. Until next time, do some good, have some fun, and shoot some film.